another episode of The Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Angelica Casares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. In this week's episode, we talk about a variety of topics, including my take on the new Barbie. Yes, we're talking Barbie today. On whether or not a college degree is something that you absolutely need. About our friend, the YouTuber Dulce Candy, and her recent, shall we say, impact on the Republican Party. And about a wonderful This Is What Tejanos Know list that was done by Marisa Rodriguez of Modern Tejana, who joined us in a previous episode. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittleradioshow.com.
Welcome to another episode of The Little Radio Show. We're glad you're joining us once again this week. I'm your host, Juan Alanis, and I'm a blogger at Juan of Words. There's two of us. I'm the other half. I'm one of the halves for Juan of Words. And also
your better half.
And my better half is going to go after me.
So my name is Angelica Casares. I am the other Juan of Words. Basically what Juan said. I'm also known as Crafty Thrifter on everywhere. So if you want to join me, come join me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I am the publisher at HispanicHouston.com, and I am your third host for the day. And I know that Juan's got some great, in case you missed it, items for this week, so why don't we get started?
Yep, so this week I wanted to talk about, there's a list. I'll start with this list that Modern Tejana, who you may know as Marisa Rodriguez, who was here with us a couple of weeks ago filming an episode, she actually, wrote a list that I thought was pretty interesting, and it's called 17 Things Tejanos Know to be True. Because in Texas, everything's bigger, and, Texas is just its own thing. So
so for those of you monolingual out there, people out there, Tejanos just means Texans.
Yep. So Tejanos is the same thing as Texans. So I'll just run through a couple of the things that she listed. But number one is there's only one Selena that will still do anything for her. And, true to that.
Is she referring to the Selena Gomez? No.
There's only one Selena in Texas. And that's Selena Quintanilla Perez. No offense to Selena Gomez. And then, there's another one that's the best treats come from the fruteria, which, of course, that's definitely true. We were just there this weekend, and we had some delicious corn with a lot of chile on it.
Which is basically a farmer's market?
Yep.
The fruit. Okay. I thought you meant like the, the stands where you go get the fruta cut already and you put the limon and the sal.
They sell those at farmer's markets too.
Yeah, but I figured that's what he was talking about. But I guess not. No, I understand now.
And then she says, number 3 is we speak fluent Spanglish. Number 4, Tejano isn't dead. It's just evolved a little bit.
Oh, and that means the music, right?
The music, the Tejano music.
We've talked about that when we talk about music, how in Houston there are no broadcast radio Tejano stations anymore.
No, they're not. I think
there's an internet radio station, and there's a Tejano festival, and there's all sorts of stuff.
So one of the things she has, the bigger the hair, cowboy hat, or belt buckle, the better. Which yes,
yes, check, and
I
check.
would add the heels.
The heels. There you go. So, anyways, I invite you to take a look at Visit Modern Tejana. She has this great list, and it's really entertaining, and I'm sure you'll find it very relevant if you do.
And we'll be posting this in show notes for those of you who want to check out on our website for the link.
Great. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and in case you missed it, was Dulce Candy, who, if you don't know who she is, she's a...
You've been living under a rock if you don't know who she is. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
She's one of the top...
She's one of the top YouTubers in the country.
Right, one of the top YouTubers in the country. But the other thing is that a lot of people, who don't know her don't know, is that she's also a military vet. So she served in the armed forces, and she was invited to the Republican National Convention to ask a question to... the candidates that were debating, and her question was pretty simple. And, she's gotten a lot of, publicity from that comment.
Notoriety
that because of the comment that she made.
Do you remember what the question was?
Actually, I have it here. So
okay.
She said, there are many immigrants who contribute positively to the American economy, but some of the comments in the campaign make us question our place in this country. If America does not seem like a welcoming place for immigrant entrepreneurs, will the American economy suffer? Which is a very plain question,
Well, the biggest challenge for the, as a non-political person, the biggest challenge is the fact that immigration is such a hot topic on all fronts. And the Republican Party often gets criticized because many of their candidates have used it as a way to galvanize their strongest supporters by demonizing people who don't fit a certain criteria.
Well, here's the thing: the immigration conversation has been ongoing now since the 90s, and it's been a big deal. And it's
longer than that.
Since the
1790s. Correct. Yes. But I think her question went directly to the punchline, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And what is your response?
I think it was even beyond her question, because I think what I loved about the story is that she, as a YouTuber who started her career not necessarily as a Latina, she started a career as a YouTuber who does makeup, who does all these hauls, and she created a platform that's mainstream. It's not a Latino channel; it's a mainstream channel. And so what I loved about the story is that she used her platform as somebody who's successful, but who happens to be Latina, and she happens to care about this issue, to raise the question and bring the discussion up.
Well, what she is she's an immigrant entrepreneur who actually started out her being in the U.S. as the type of person who is now being so harshly criticized. Mm-hmm. You came here illegally. Who are you to say anything? You came here illegally. And so that's the intent, that's the tone that many people have been going. I'm sure that if we get her to do an interview, she would probably have harrowing stories about the types of comments and the types of attacks she's actually receiving online.
Well, you've got to have some pretty tough skin to be on YouTube, because those commenters that are on there.
And especially the kind of audience, not the kind of audience, but the kind of views that she has. So she's getting all kinds of people on there. But
Well, I'm so glad that it was very smart of them to choose such a prominent Latina, someone who's, what they did is basically did what the Obama administration has been doing for several years. Is every year they get these YouTubers to go to the White House and ask the president questions. Last year was Bethany Mota. Bethany Mota, who people had never heard of, and I'm like, how have you never heard of Bethany Mota? By the way, Bethany Mota is another YouTuber who last year made Time's list of the most important teenagers on social media, the top 25. So, I mean, she's literally, I think she's like 19 or 20 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So that they've done that very successfully. It's whoever thought up of the idea. It was very smart of them. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get the kind of impact and beneficial, fallout that they wanted.
Yeah, but I joined the ranks of everybody else who's kind of saying, good for you, Dulce Candy. Good job for asking that question.
No, absolutely. She gave it a lot of thought, and she used her opportunity. And that's in case you missed it this week.
If you're just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show bringing you small talk about big topics on hmsnetradio.org.
Barbie is a household name in so many, many ways. It's amazing to me how big an impact and how often we see the name Barbie in the news, considering that what we're talking about is a doll. We're talking about a doll. Now,
a doll that has a lot of impact apparently lately.
Yes. So the reality is, in case you haven't been paying attention, Mattel, the company that makes Barbie, made history by, for the very first time, actually releasing Barbies with different body type. Now, one of the things that everyone keeps I remember even when I was younger, one of the biggest criticisms about Barbie is that, in fact, the proportions on Barbie are so incorrect. And that if you made her life size, her bust size is that of a woman, her waist size is that of a girl, and her hip size is that of a teenager. It's incorrect, absolutely. Mattel unveiled in late January 3 new body types: a petite, a tall, and a curvy. And of the 3 of those, which ones do you think is getting the most amount of press? The curvy. And not just because she is bigger, all around her waist and around her hips than anything else, but they actually have her with a little bit of a stomach And
I did see
a
that.
little bit of a butt.
I did see that. So she has wider hips, and the angle from back extends a little bit more.
And from the front. Yeah, she's got kind of a little bit of a muffin top there going. And still a waist, but a little bit of a muffin top. And the amount.
I like it. But, I see the criticism that's coming out. I think you were going to mention that. I like the doll. Should I feel guilty?
I want to buy one, honestly. I am so thrilled that they've actually come out with new types, and I actually want to buy one, of course. And I would buy the curvy myself, because that's the one that more represents who I am. But, it's not like Mattel one day woke up and go, oh my goodness, we are damaging girls' psyches. No. Barbie sales have gone down significantly enough. They've had to take a step back and say, okay, so we're getting our butts beaten, no pun intended, by other companies who are releasing dolls that are more realistic and that are actually not, trying to impose a certain ideal of beauty onto girls, that they're showing more of a diversity, they're showing different types.
They started having a lot of conversation online about the Barbie and the image that Barbie signifies.
Those conversations have been happening since the 1970s.
I understand, but I think I want to say these conversations are from real people, not just reporters, not just journalists, real people on the internet saying, why are you doing this, Barbie? And then I think Barbie took notice a long time ago and started developing well, you know what they started doing? They started doing the face. So the face is no longer that slim face. Now it represents a lot of us. Now the faces, they look like us, like
well, they also released
the colors,
different skin tones, right?
Yes.
The different skin tones, the different hair color, the eyes that, maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, the nose the nose I can't say.
But again,
yeah.
This is not out of the kindness of their heart. Their sales have gone down significantly enough that they needed to change or they needed to die. And those were the only options available. When you're talking about, it's something like 20% reduction in sales over the last, I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
That's a significant market share that the number one doll in the world has gotten.
Here's my question. Do you think they should have done this a long time ago?
Yes. I think they should have done this decades ago. Because the diversity in the United States it's not new. It's the first time. The reason people stopped buying Barbies was because competitors came out with stuff that they wanted more or better or, instead. I used to buy my niece Barbies even though I didn't particularly approve of them because that was the only game in town. Now they're not.
Yeah.
When competition comes up that offers people a better option, they're going to buy the better option. And Barbies and the Mattel people had to make the decision. They were either going to improve their product or get outsold.
You're right. Well, a lot of their accessories also geared around towards, the mini skirts and the high heels. And I know they got a lot of flack from
I hate math.
yeah. Or, people were like, where are the doctor Barbies? Where are the firefighter Barbies? The police women?
Yeah.
Where are they at?
There were stewardesses, but no pilots.
Yeah.
There were nurses, but no doctors.
Well, along those same lines, I like the fact that they did it. I think it's a good thing. I do definitely think it's a good thing that they have more diversity. But along those same lines, I guess my question is to you as both women, how much of an impact do you think that Barbies actually have on the way little girls see themselves? And some talk has been made about that your body image is kind of in some way can be affected, or you can kind of have a perception of what your body image should be based on kind of those dolls like Barbie that are very thin and they're perky and
well, I think that girls I think they'll be happier with dolls that better represent who they are and who they see on an everyday basis. Now, is that going to be enough? Oh, absolutely not. There's all sorts of stuff that need to be changed.
But can a doll have that much impact?
Yes,
can. Yeah.
I absolutely believe that a doll can have that much
definitely.
impact. if you happen to be darker skinned and happen to all the women in your life are curvier, and because there's some families, and especially in some cultures where it's just a genetic thing, you cannot change that. And the only doll available and the only thing that you can play with is something that in no way represents anyone in your immediate family, your immediate life. It does have an effect to make you feel like, okay, well, if this is the only thing that's being sold, maybe I'm not enough.
Here's my thing with Barbie. It's that because it's being built, it wasn't like, it's being made at this point. So they're making an idol. They're making something that I need to be looking for too. You're telling me that I need to have white skin, light blonde hair, and I need to be 6'5", and I got to have a 18-inch waist, and I got to, yes, of course it's going to make me a little self-conscious. It's going to be like, I don't look like this damn thing. Bring it, and to say this much, Juan, how much of an impact does it have? I want to go buy the Barbie that's petite and a little bit chunky on butt. That's how much of an impact it has
and I don't
on me.
disagree that it does have an impact. I was just curious to get kind of your perspective on that.
Well, I don't think that... No, let me rephrase that. I absolutely know that men don't suffer from the same issues, mostly because men are held to different standards for everything. Men, it's success and money and athleticism and, all this other stuff. And women, it's still beauty. Yeah. Now, two things to note. One is that standards for beauty have always been imposed by the people with money. And so as more diverse people tend to come into some economic power, you start to see the standards of beauty to change. That's one. And two is, guess what? Same as my whole conversation about Playboy stopping, they stopped publishing magazines in the U.S. with naked women because they couldn't sell them. Barbie, after decades and decades of people trying to shame them into changing, into providing more realistic dolls, finally had to do it because we stopped buying them.
It's a shame. It's a shame that the conversations that were taking place weren't effective, but the conversation of money.
It always comes back to the bottom line.
And that's a shame.
So when everybody keeps saying that thing about vote with your pocketbook, hello, here are two examples that actually worked. If you can get people to stop buying the product that is so deficient, that is so objectionable, that is so below the standards that we want, they will in fact start producing the product that we will buy.
And whatever's going on at Mattel is interesting because they started recently. They also started coming out with these Imagine the Possibilities spots that kind of shows little girls in scenarios. I don't know if you've seen the spot.
Yeah,
but it's like
I have.
a little girl in a scenario
I haven't.
where she's talking to a classroom. It's like little girls in the row of what they would want to be when they're grown up. And, that's such a very positive message. So it seems like, overall, they seem to be changing their strategy in a way, and they're going away from being the...
It all comes down to money.
And it's like, and it is very... And then I think I did watch it where she was like teaching the class and she was like very affirmative and very like, and she wasn't introduced by somebody else and she wasn't so cutesy, but she was like, yeah. And you were like, okay, wow.
Well, anyway, for those of you who haven't gone to go see it, check out, if you go to Barbie.com, they're already on sale. You're probably gonna start seeing them in the store soon if they're not there already. Just know that this is kind of an important thing, even if it sounds a little trivial.
The real women have curves. For those of you just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org. You can catch the show every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time.
So I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but it took me 7 years to get my college degree. And the reason is not because I couldn't pass my classes, but because I had to go sometimes part-time, sometimes take a semester off, work 2 jobs,
You mean that's not normal?
And in fact, a lot of my friends that I know actually had what we call the non-traditional college path because we didn't want to end up graduating with a lot of college debt. And I don't know if today that would be possible because tuition has increased something like 1,000% in the last 1,000%.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. In the last 2 or 3 decades. So you have an era where tuition has gone up so significantly to the point where the average college student graduates from a 4-year degree with $35,000 of financial aid debt. $35,000 is a luxury car.
Well,
$35,000 is a down payment for a house.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And that's the average. I know, like, if you go to...
A house used to cost you that not too long ago.
No. Don't even go with not too long ago.
No, in the 80s, you were able to buy a house.
So... One of the things, though, that especially for graduates in the last maybe 4 or 5 years is that jobs are not as easy to find with a college degree as they used to be. So what you have is an entire generation of kids. And I say kids on purpose. They have a college degree, they've got college financial aid debt, and they're underemployed. Unemployed or underemployed in a lot of ways, making a lot less money. So the question always comes up, is a college degree even worth it these days?
Well, as somebody that shares your kind of, your experience of having a very
non-traditional,
non-traditional, I worked my way through college. I paid for my own college. I didn't have any financial aid, but I did this, several years ago when it was still possible. The tuition isn't what it is now.
Nope.
But I do still think that, a college degree is important because, I know a lot of kids and a lot of young people who are out there who don't have a degree.
Think it's that important?
Well, it depends on the degree.
I mean, doctor degree. Yeah, I do.
But
I do understand.
Not doctor degrees. So I pulled some statistics, and this is what said. The average financial aid debt when you graduate is $35,000 for in the U.S. for a 4-year degree. The median income for a high school graduate is $25,000 a year. The median income for a college graduate is $43,000 a year.
And the reason I say that is because there are jobs that you can't even walk in the door. They won't even consider you if you don't have a 4-year degree. A lot of professional jobs, you won't even be considered if you don't have a 4-year degree. So that and those usually are, you're going to maybe making a little bit more than, you would at a technical job or whatever it may be. So,
Now, if you're going to get a degree in English, there are only so many options of jobs that are going to be available for you. You're going to get a degree in history, a degree in something. I'm not saying that they're not worth getting. I'm saying that you need to know how you're going to transfer that into a job. For all of those out there who are in college and they picked a degree because I really, really like the topic or I really, really like the subject. My thing is you're gonna have to be able to get a job and support yourself doing this after you graduate. So your choice of a major and what you study is very important.
Sandra, are you trying to scare everybody from going to college and make sure?
No.
Not scare them from going to college, but scare them to make sure this is what you really want to do and you want to study.
Well, no. It's one of those funny things. I had this conversation with someone once. Like, no child of an immigrant who's the first one in their family to go to college goes to college without the understanding that they're going to have to find a job when they graduate, because most of them are employed while they're in college. Yeah. Thank you very much.
And you have to be very practical when you're in that situation. You have to be very practical.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. There's a lot of things out there. There are always some professions where there are jobs available. That they're going to see growth in the next 10 years, etc. If you pick a career with a little bit of practicality, then your chances of success increase. Now, the original question is a college education still worth it? I absolutely believe that a path to success includes a certain amount of education. Doesn't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's all sorts of technical trainings out there. There are a lot of jobs. I used to live in Pasadena, and that's all those refineries, and they're looking at a massive shortage of qualified people to work in refineries.
Technical degrees,
yes,
correct.
Technical degrees.
We're talking, welders. We're talking all kinds of people who end up making...
Pipe fitters, electricians.
Yeah, who end up making $250
plumbers.
$250 a year. And that's well in 5 years. So by the time they retire, they're making over, they're retiring with millions of dollars.
But I think even those technical degrees, though, you're being practical because you're kind of going into it with the mindset that you're going to go into this career field, because you're going to go into school. It's going to be a short amount of time. It's going to mean that you're going to be making more income sooner. So you're being a little bit more practical than if say, I'm going to go and I'm going to major in the arts. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I love the arts and I'm going to major in the arts.
Excuse me.
Now,
hold on. That was my degree. Like, I was going towards that degree, right?
So for those of you out there like Angelica who majored in the arts, we're not putting down
Here's
your
a disclaimer.
degree.
Here's a disclaimer. That was part of my major. I'm missing a whole year of college, which I want to finish my degree because I want it. But it's going to cost me some money.
But you were being practical because you had an idea in your head of what you wanted to do. So it wasn't like you were just like, oh, I just love history, or whatever. Mm-hmm. You had an idea like of kind of where you wanted to go with it. And I guess that's all I'm saying. But I think that a college degree is worth it. But you have to, it's not only the college degree, you have to get experience. So you have to take advantage of internships. And yes, they don't pay.
They don't pay a lot.
They don't pay, or they don't pay a lot.
What happened to the idea of just going to college for the experience of college? To get that camaraderie, to get those connections. If
you're in a working class family, then you don't have that luxury.
No. Okay.
No. Okay. So going to a college with a really great alumni organization that's got connections, if you can afford it, it does in fact. Let's be real. Who you know is so much of success.
And
dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me who you're with. Tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are.
Connections are a big deal. So if you can go to a program or a degree that actually provides you with introductions and access to alumni and to donors and other stuff, that would be great. But if you are working class, let me rephrase that. If the intent is for you to be able to, pay your bills and afford a place to live so you don't live with mom and dad, and be able to one day own a house, which is the American dream, and be able to pay your car payments and other stuff, and oh my goodness, pay for insurance,
and have kids,
health
and
insurance,
all
and
that
have kids,
stuff.
and put money away for retirement.
Yeah.
So these are practicalities. Being able to afford all this, you are going to have to do something that actually has an income of some sort. Now, I'm not saying don't pick something you love. Pick something you love, but you're going to have to pick something you love and be understanding. I worked as a civil servant for many years with the understanding that I was trading in the additional income I could have made working in the private sector because I was working in an area where I wanted to do good.
So it's pick what you love. It is pick what you love and go into that degree, but be practical in terms of understanding, like, what is it going to take for me to realistically be able to get a job in this field? And back to what I was saying about internships, I think that, internships are absolutely important because you really have to go and you have to get that experience so that when you graduate, you not only graduate with your degree, but you graduate with 2 or 3 semesters worth of experience that you said, hey, yes, I've already worked at these places. I'm kind of already have on the field experience, because there's certain things that you're not going to learn in the classroom that you really need hands-on experience.
Going back to our degree, which was public relations, public relations continues to be one of the jobs where there is actually still jobs available. It's also every year makes the list of the top 10 most stressful jobs in the country.
Yeah.
It's expected to have about a 6% growth between now and between 2014 and 2024. So 6% growth over a 10-year is not phenomenal, but it doesn't.
That's a good percentage.
It still means that there's still jobs in there.
But how many young people have we not run into that, unfortunately didn't get any internships and then they're struggling to find a job?
Yes.
In this field.
I was very lucky. I had 2 internships. Both of them were paid, thank you, Lord. But one of them paid so little that it was actually one of my 2 jobs that semester. It's a hard thing.
When I was going towards my degree, I started doing interns, and I started doing some internships, and I'm so far from what I'm doing now. I'm so far from what I'm doing now.
You said I started doing interns, and I'm like, wait a minute.
I started doing internships.
I thought I was the only one.
You said I started doing
Where are our minds?
And I'm like, I'm going to have to edit that out.
You know what? Leave it in. That's not so wrong. I just paid attention to when you called me out on it. Good. So when I started doing internships, we're not going to live that. We're not coming back from that, are we?
And I think that we're going to have to end it on that note.
Yeah, we are.
So for everybody out there, let us know if you think that a college degree is still a necessity for success, or if you agree or disagree with anything we just said. And we promise not to share any more. We do internship stories. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes channel and leave us a rating and a review. You can find the link on our iTunes channel at thelittlерadioshow.com. As a reminder that you can catch us every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org.